What's going on, guys? Zeus here. So in today's video, I'm going to take some time out to chat about, you already read the title, NeoMasculinity versus Mgtow. So, last couple of days I spent a little bit of my time trying to figure out why there was even a red pill schism to begin with. It is true I am commenting on this a couple of weeks after Rushdie already, announced what NeoMasculinity is and all of that. So I always thought it was best to take some time back and really understand what even is neo-masculinity. I'm still trying to figure out the differences between, I guess, what traditional masculinity is. So that been reading on a couple of articles on neo-masculinity and figured all that out. And then I noticed a bunch of men going their own way, or some Mgtows weren't really big fans of neo-masculinity. So I spent some time trying to figure that out. And I kind of want to talk about that a little bit, because I find it to be very ironic. The reason why I do find it to be particularly ironic, because the original incarnation of men going their own way was actually about instilling masculinity back into men. And so I do find it ironic that, men going their own way would reject the notion of trying to find new ways to be a man. I don't know. Mgtow nowadays seems to be more focused on leaving women alone and not being a part of the system, which is all well and good. No problem with that. One thing I do have a bit of an issue with, though, one thing that really bothers me, is I've noticed level of apathy between some of the Mgtows and a desire to watch the world burn. We'll get into that in just a second. So let's jump back to the whole neo-masculinity thing, right? So after Rushdie said what he said, I watched a couple of responses to it. Responses to Rushdie, a couple of other men going their own way talking about neo-masculinity. And from what I can gather, a lot of people are upset with neo-masculinity because it sounds like a way to bring men back to the plantation and become pussy worshippers again. Well, listen, guys, if I am correct about the phrase, bring a slave back to the plantation, yeah, you don't coax them back kindly, and you don't cut them a deal, and you don't try to make them feel better about their position. Usually, when a slave master tried to bring his slave back to the plantation, he would get a band of other slave owners or white people, and he'd get a bunch of hunting dogs, and they'd hunt that slave down, and then after they caught him, they'd bring him back and beat the dog shit out of him in front of all the other slaves and make an example out of him. So, yeah, that doesn't really sound like a good analogy to what that's happening. If anything, I'd say a much better analogy would be a company trying to quell a strike. A company saying, alright, listen. I understand you guys got a bad deal. Okay, how about this? Let me, give you a couple of things to help you guys out. That's what it sounds like to me. If you're going to use an analogy of trying to get people to go back to work or get people to go back, it certainly wouldn't be go back to a plantation because that was pretty forceful. So I don't really think back to the plantation is a really good analogy due to the imagery that I get, after reading about how that happened. That is, if I am correct there. Could be wrong. That being said, I do find it very interesting, though, that a lot of people had a very negative response to neo-masculinity. I don't know if anyone actually read the article Rushdie said or if they just watched this video, but I've actually been reading about neo-masculinity and it doesn't really sound all that bad. I've noticed a lot of men going their own way harped on the game aspect of neo-masculinity. And a lot of people are actually really, I myself used to not understand what game was. A lot of people associate game with pickup artistry, and while, certainly they are connected to us in a sense. Game is more primarily about understanding how women operate, understanding how they think and what they do, which is actually a pretty important part if you want to have a relationship with a woman. So it's not really so much about, just going around having a bunch of sex with women. It was really more about actually understanding how they operate, which is a part of pickup artistry. A large portion of that is also female psychology, which again is a little ironic considering the fact that a lot of men going their own way do focus on female psychology and figuring this shit out. There are more interconnecting points on the manosphere than there are points that make them want to fight each other. But like I said, we're going to get into that in just a second. So again, I've noticed that criticism there, which I can understand why there would be some criticism there. If you are Mgtow 2.0, I guess we'll say, then of course you don't want to do anything to, be with a woman because you don't want to get married, and dating is pretty much the whole point of dating is to find someone to get married. So, I mean, I can understand that, why you would say, let's not do with game. But everything else aside from that, I guess aside from patriarchy and traditional families and all of that, are still really good qualities. It kind of reminds me of Bruce Lee, and like, great man and one of my role models, honestly. He used to have a phrase for his martial art, Jeet Kune Do, and that is, absorb what is useful, discard what is not. So without any actually looking at neo-masculinity and figuring out what's useful and what's not, if you just have a reactionary opinion on the whole thing, it's just because he was a pickup artist or King Sphere who thought of the concept, then you lose out on a lot of really good qualities that are there. Again, from what I've seen, there aren't really a lot of terrible things I disagree with. I'll have to look into it more, but again, just from what I've read, it sounds pretty fantastic stuff. And as a man going his own way, it is possible that you could read some of the not artwork, but some of the articles on neo-masculinity and find that you disagree with point X, Y, Z, and A, B, C, and maybe you might like D, C, and F. I don't know. And you're not going to know either unless you actually look at it. I'm saying this to challenge you guys to actually, think. Use your brain. Think about it. If you don't like it, fine. But I don't think it's wise to simply take a reactionary look at something and to dismiss it offhand until you've actually critically looked at it. And again, you probably might find you still don't like it. If that be the case, that's okay, alright. It's your prerogative. You thought about it, you analyzed it, that's perfectly fine, no problem with that. But then it kind of moves on to my next point, though. I don't really understand why the combative attitude. I don't understand why fight with men who want to solve the problem. Why fight with men who want to find new ways to be men? I don't really understand that aspect of it all. I mean, fine, you don't want to be with a woman. Great. And let me be clear. Look, listen. If it don't apply, let it fly. I'm not trying to hurt people's feelings. I'm not trying to gain enemies. So if it don't apply, let it fly. Let me just put that right there. So if this is not you, don't get your feelings hurt. I'm talking to people who what I'm about to say describes. I don't understand the people who were angry with neo-masculinity and wish to fight against it or have any level of harsh criticism on it. The reason why is because we already have enough enemies as it fucking is. The social justice warriors and the feminists and the blue pill men and the white knights and the beta males, they already are a mounting force against men and masculinity. I don't understand what is with this infighting. It seems foolish to me, to put it bluntly. It seems really stupid. I don't really understand why you even want to do that. Again, it might be some points you disagree with. Roosevelt might be a bit of an asshole. Yeah, he's kind of an asshole, but again, I wouldn't want to make an enemy out of Roosevelt. There are some things I disagree with Roosevelt on, this is true, but I'd rather have him as my ally. I'd rather have everyone who wants the world to be a better place as my ally. So that's why I don't try to make enemies out of people that I can turn into allies. This is why I don't always harshly attack feminists, because it's possible that I can convince them to my side. And that's what I want to do. And I don't find it to be very conducive to anything to attack people who are on your side. So maybe Roosevelt may not completely be a Mgtow. I don't think it fucking matters, considering the fact that he certainly is against feminism. So not everybody is a fan of the phrase, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. However, I say, I don't know. They could be. And so, I'll just have them here. I'm a bit of a tactician. I like having lots of allies everywhere. Like MRAs, I consider them allies of mine. I consider Mgtows allies of mine. These guys who like neo-masculinity, allies. And I'm not really a big fan of fighting people who all want the same thing I want, which would be a healthier image of men, strong, positive male role models, men who like being men. I don't really see why I would need to fight against these people. So I'm not making this video to combat anybody, I'm just kind of addressing some criticisms I've heard And I'm asking you people, if you really are against neo-masculinity, please, talk to me and let me figure this out. Because from what I've read, it doesn't seem to be terrible. I understand you not liking the game aspect, but again, absorb what is useful, discard what is not. I don't think it's a very good idea to attack your allies, or at least people who aren't outright against you. I've also begun to notice a lot of men going their own way are thinking of themselves as a hive mind, as homogenous, that they're using a lot of we language, which I think is a strange thing to do. I don't really think you should refer to yourself as a we, considering the fact that a lot of Mgtows are very different from each other. It's very hard to say specifically we all feel the same way, because that just isn't true. Lots of Mgtows who want to be more activists and want to more spread the word of Mgtows, and then there are the apathetic Mgtows. So let's talk about them, because it's a really strange thing to me. Like, I remember a buddy of mine, Dark Knight, I'm gonna do a Google Hangout with him, hopefully a couple of days after this is uploaded. He made a video where he was talking about how he wanted to do more with Mgtow and talk to more people and maybe make cards and spread the message of men going their own way, giving men a different outlet to talk about their problems and figure out ways to become good men, I think is a beautiful thing. So I'm not opposed to that. But then there are some other Mgtows who were upset with him, Some other Mgtows who, I know someone made a response video to him, I can't find it though, but they were upset with him because he said, hey, let's do more with being Mgtows. And they're really apathetic people who just want to watch the world burn, which I don't really understand a mentality like that, because if the world burns, you burn with it. You're not exempt from that. Even if you walk away from the society, I mean, you still live here. Unless you're moving out to Hawaii, you're gonna live out in the wild and really go your own way. I mean, I don't see why you would want to watch all these other people suffer. I don't know. If you're apathetic and you just want to watch the world burn, please explain that to me, because I don't. The whole reason I make these videos and offer these ideas is to help people think and help people want to do good and better things. That's what I want. I don't want to watch the world burn. I want to help people. So, I mean, if you feel that way, by all means, explain that to me, because I don't get it. But I've noticed that, and I've noticed that the Mgtows who do want to do more activist stuff, not really even activists, but more like spread the word, have been, criticized kind of harshly for it. It makes no real sense to me. I don't understand that. Why would you, again, with the infighting, what is up with attacking your allies? I don't understand that. What are you doing? That's what social justice warriors do. We're not social justice warriors. At least I hope we're not social justice warriors. Here I am saying we. I don't know. The manosphere. We're more like a coalition. I saw a really great video that kind of summed up the manosphere as a coalition, and it makes a great deal of sense. So I'm going to link that video down below. He also talks about NeoMasculinity too. But those are just some thoughts that I had. I really wanted to kind of, flesh those out there and really get some answers from some people, because I don't get it. One other thing I don't get. I know Barbarossa made a video where he talked about neo-masculinity, and he criticized it quite harshly. And I know a lot of people follow Barbarossa and kind of take after him. And I just want to know, what is Barbarossa's appeal to some of you guys? If you are like a big fan of Barbarossa, I mean, please tell me, because I don't really know what is Barbarossa's appeal to you as a fan of Barbarossa. Because I've been watching a couple of his videos, and he doesn't really say anything that I don't already know, so I don't really find him to be, profound in anything he says. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's stupid. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's not stupid. He's very intelligent. I just don't find his commentary profound. I don't find it to introduce me to something I don't already know. So I don't really see his appeal, is basically what I'm saying. So by all means, if you are a big fan of Barbarossa, explain his appeal to me, because I don't get it. I don't know. So that being said, I certainly hope this video got you guys to do some thinking. Hopefully you guys will, give me some intelligent commentary on neo-masculinity, on these apathetic men going their own way who just want to watch the world burn. And hopefully I have not hurt very many feelings, because that's not my objective. My objective is to get you thinking, using your noggin. So hopefully your feelings aren't hurt. Hopefully your neurons are firing. So with that being said, I certainly hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you did, man, go ahead and click that like button. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. And as always, have yourself a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.